day everyone. At this juncture, we will tackle about the chapter 7 of our module entitled Communication Aids and Strategies Using Tools of Technology. For the learning outcome, at the end of the lesson, students are expected to do an oral, audio or visual web-based presentations to promote cultural values, example, respect for elders, Bayanihan spirit, etc. Communication aids and strategies using tools of technology. What is a communication aid? A communication aid is anything that helps an individual communicate more effectively with those around them. This could range from a simple letterboard to a more sophisticated piece of electronic equipment. It is not essential for the user to be able to read text in order to use a communication aid. Many aids are symbol-based and still provide full functionality, enabling the user to communicate with others. An electronic communication aid can be a device that has been purposely built for that job and does nothing else, or a standard computer running specialist communication aid software with the added benefit of being a computer as well. Types of communication aids. Technology-based aids. 2018. Hearing aids may benefit people born with a hearing impairment or those whose hearing has deteriorated but who still retain some residual hearing. Hearing aids don't completely restore hearing but can help to make the sounds you need to hear louder. Cochlear implants. A surgically implanted hearing device may be of benefit to some people. These are usually only suitable for people who have a profound hearing loss and for whom hearing aids are not effective. Telecommunications, and particularly smartphones, is a rapidly developing area of technology and increasing potential to aid communication. Some telephones, including smartphones, have increased amplification, hearing aid compatibility, magnification software, and braille displays. Many people with acquired deaf blindness also use text phones and/or text relay services. These are also sophisticated devices being developed for people with acquired deaf blindness, such as the deaf-blind communicator. Dedicated communication aids, designed solely for the means of providing an alternative to oral speech or the augment of individuals' oral speech. Although some aids do provide access to additional activities such as writing and environmental control, their main purpose is to provide a means to communicate in conversation. Accessing the communication aid. There are two main avenues that an individual can use to access a communication aid: direct selection or indirect selection via scanning. The physical positioning of the individual user and his or her physical activities will form the basis for deciding which access method is to be preferred. Direct selection, defined as the ability of the user to select by physically touching an equipment. This may be a keyboard, touch window, or a membrane's keypad. This definition can also be extended to include the use of a head pointer, either a head or chin stick, head-mounted, optical pointer or infrared head control unit, or a mouth stick. Direct selection can be done with any part of the body, example foot, hand, nose, etc. The most common is accessing directly with the hand, either by fist pointing or finger pointing, or in combination, by Chance and Clark, 1998. Indirect selection. The second type of access method is indirect selection via scanning. This requires the user to activate a switch or number of switches connected to the communication aid. The communication aid must be able to accept a switch and have some type of scanning array available to the user. When discussing indirect selection, it is important to have an idea of the different types of switches available to an individual user. Switches come in an almost infinite variety and can be customized to suit each individual. Johnson Clark, 1998.
Communication Strategies Using Tools of Technology, Rami, 2013. Using technology in communication has become a necessity. It's now part of our lives. People communicate through emails, faxes, mobile phones, texting services, video conferences, video chat rooms, and social media channels. As time goes on, More emerging technologies will change the way we communicate, and it will be up to us to embrace them or not. Let's look at the impact or use of technology in communication, both to individuals and businesses. Use of digital networks. Phones and printers are all digitized, not like before when communication was hindered by telephone lines. During bad weather, most the lines would go off. Now, with satellite and broadband transmission, you can communicate with anyone at work or off work via their mobile phones. You can also send a file to a printer while you are at home and someone in the office gets the printout. Text messaging services. Keeping in touch with friends is very important. So text messaging services have solved this problem by creating mobile phones app, which enable you to text your buddies on instant for free. A good example is eBuddy. The buddy chat service will allow you to chat with your close friends via text for free. Social networking platforms. The social interaction network have helped individuals discover old school friends and also to get new friends based on interests and regions. Before this technology, it will be next to impossible for you to find all your old friends and interact with them on an instant, share life and your past on instant. It would even be difficult to get new friends from other countries, but now that barrier has been removed by social networks like Facebook.com. Parental security apps. Gone are the days when you had to lie your parents about your location. Now, with GPS tracking mobile apps, your parents will install this GPS-enabled app, and they can see where you are. These apps also have maps which indicated red zones, so you can tell if your child is in the area. When something wrong is detected, the app will notify the parent that their child might be in danger. Example of such app is Securatrack. Free internet calls. Friends can call each other for free using free internet call centers. A good example is Skype. With Skype software installed in my laptop, it can communicate with friends for free if they also have Skype on their laptops. This software can also be installed on smartphones like Skype. Use of emails. Even though social networks are trying to replace email communication, there is certain information which users cannot exchange via social networks. So, email services like Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, and Gmail have ace communication. It's now very rare to find a person writing a letter because that will involve posting it to a postal office and paying delivery fees, which is not the case when you use electronic mail.
Multimodal text. What is multimodal text? Number 1. Multimodal is defined in the Australian curriculum as the strategic use of two or more communication modes to make meaning, for example, image, gesture, music, spoken language, and written language. Number 2. A multimodal text can be paper, such as books, comics, and posters. Number 3. A multimodal text can be digital, from slide presentations, e-books, blogs, e-posters, web pages, and social media, through to animation, film, and video games. Number 4. A multimodal text can be live, a performance or an event. Number 5. And a multimodal text can be transmedia, uses multiple delivery channels through a combination of media platforms, for example, book, comic, magazine, film, web series, and video game mediums all working together. Development of multimodal literacy, knowledge, and skills. To enable students to effectively design and communicate meaning through such rich and potentially complex texts, we need to extend and along the way, our own multimodal literacy, knowledge, and skills. What is audiovisual presentation? The term audiovisual, or AV, or A&V, may refer to works with both a sound and a visual component. The production or use of such works or equipment used to create and present such works. Equipments. Good quality audio-video equipment can help you deliver an effective business presentation. There is a variety of audiovisual equipment that you can choose from, depending on whether you need them for a trade show, marketing event, party, or presentation. From the simplest flip chart to the more sophisticated projectors, as well as DLP and LCD projectors, the choice in audio and visual tools is many and varied. Designing visuals. Good design aids your credibility and helps with understanding. Keep all visual aids simple and uncluttered. Always take along a series of low complexity aids, such as handouts, as a backup. Equipment can fail, so you might want to be prepared to go without audiovisual aids at all. Audiovisual aids are very useful for the teaching process. There are facilitators for making an explanation of a topic that may involve difficult terms to an easy understanding. Besides, audiovisual are great tools to catch the audience's attention and help them to get involved into the learning process without problem. Techniques and tips for using visual aids. Keep it simple. Avoid bunching things together. Leave plenty of unused white space. Make it big, bold, and brilliant. Keep it organized. Create a path that I can follow. Use arrows and borders. Justify, center, etc. Make something dominant. The most important element should be immediately obvious. Highlight the most important element. Use color, size, etc. Use strong bold colors for lettering. Online presentations. Online presentation is a type of content that brings the traditional presentation to an anytime, anywhere environment online. Online presentations can take several different forms. In many online presentations, slides are just the start. You can add audio or video, web pages, images, forms, links, documents, transcripts, and social media feeds into a single interactive presentation viewer. Types of online presentations. There are 3 types of online presentations in common use today. Online slide decks. These are the most widely used but least sophisticated online presentation medium. Essentially, online slide decks are simply PowerPoint presentations that have been uploaded to a website and placed in a simple viewer. Narrated audio presentations. Adding synchronized audio narration to presentation slides represents a substantial step up in online presentation experience. The principal mode for most webinars is audio over slides. Interactive video presentations. In engaging as audio narrated presentations are, nothing compares to the total multimedia experience of the interactive video presentation. All the storytellers' communication tools, from their facial expressions, their gestures, their props, and even their interaction with a live audience, are on full display in a video presentation. Online presentations are often confused with online meetings, webinars, and webcasting. Online meetings and webinars are live interactions that are typically accomplished with screen sharing software. Online meeting platforms typically connect a relatively small number of participants with both visual and audio tools. Unless they're recorded, they can't be viewed again. Live webcasting and webinar platforms can be closer in capability to online presentation tools, but tend to be less flexible when it comes to preserving this presentation for on-demand use.
10 common presentation mistakes. Number 1. Not preparing enough. 2. Not familiarizing yourself with the venue and equipment. 3. Ignoring your audience. 4. Using inappropriate content. 5. Being too verbose. 6. Using ineffective visuals. 7. Overcrowding text. 8. Speaking incoherently. 9. Showing a lack of dynamisms. And lastly, 10. Avoiding eye contact. Key points. 1. It takes practice and effort to deliver a good presentation. 2. Time spent on careful planning always pays dividends. 3. Keep your content clear and concise. 4. Know your audience. Public speaking in a multicultural world. Cultural diversity in the modern world. The United States has always been a diverse society. These kinds of development are not limited to the United States. We live in an age of international multiculturalism. The Internet allows for instant communication around the world. Cultural diversity and public speaking. Speech making becomes more complex as cultural diversity increases. Part of the complexity stems from the difference in the language from culture to culture. Nothing separates one culture from another more than language. The meanings attached to gestures, facial expressions, and other nonverbal signals also vary from culture to culture. Public speakers can ill afford to overlook their listeners' cultural values and customs. The methods of effective speech explained. We need to stress the importance of avoiding the ethnocentrism that often blocks communication between speakers and listeners of different cultural backgrounds. Public speaking in a multicultural world. Avoiding ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is the belief that our own group or culture, whatever it may be, is superior to all other groups or cultures. Avoiding ethnocentrism does not mean that you must agree with the values and practices of all groups and cultures. At times, you might try to convince people of different cultures to change your traditional ways of doing things. When you work on your speeches, be alert to how cultural factors might affect how listeners respond. When researching the speech, keep an eye out for visual aids and other materials that relate to a wide range of listeners. When delivering the speech, be alert to feedback that might indicate the audience is having trouble grasping your ideas. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with issues of right and wrong in human affairs. Questions of ethics arise whenever we ask whether a course of action is moral or immoral, fair or unfair, just or unjust, honest or dishonest. Guidelines for ethical speaking. Make sure your goals are ethically sound. Your first responsibility as a speaker is to ask whether your goals are ethically sound. If you are to be a responsible public speaker, you cannot escape assessing the ethical soundness of your goals. Second, be fully prepared for each speech. A speech, as Jenkins Lloyd Jones states, is a solemn responsibility. You have an obligation to yourself and to your listeners to prepare fully every time you stand in front of an audience. Third, be honest on what you say. Nothing is more important to ethical speech making than honesty. Public speakers rest on their unspoken assumption that words can be trusted and people will be truthful. Next, avoid name calling and other forms of abusive language. As one writer explains, our identities, who are what we are, how others see us, are greatly affected by the names you are called and the words which we are labeled. This is why all communication ethicists warn public speakers to avoid name calling and other forms of abusive language. Lastly, put ethical principles into practice. It is easy to pay lip service to the importance of ethics. It is much harder to act ethically. Yet, that is just what a responsible public speakers must do. As one popular book in ethics states, being ethical means behaving ethically at the time, not only when it's convenient. And that's all for Chapter 7, Communication Aids and Strategies Using Tools of Technology. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.